Now, I mentioned napping in my pseudo kids time. Did you know that there is an art and science to napping? It's true. I'm not making this up. In 2009, Harvard Medical School released a study about napping, where they detailed 5 critical things essential to a good nap. So the steps are these. 1, keep it short. You shouldn't nap for over 20 minutes. 2, find a nice, dark, quiet, and cool place. 3, plan your nap. Don't wait until you're drowsy or overly tired, but build the nap into your day. 4, time your caffeine appropriately so that it does not interfere with your restfulness. And 5, don't feel guilty. A well-timed nap can actually clear your head and increase your productivity. Now, all of those things are true, unless, of course, you nap during the sermon. Now, so we're going to keep the lights on, and there's coffee downstairs, and if you nod off, you need to feel incredibly guilty, just so you know. But here's the reality, right? We all need some rest now and again, don't we? We all come up in ourselves with some time where we feel that we need to rest, whether it's after, during just the regular day-to-day grind of life, or whether it's after a period of heightened activity, positive or negative, or if it's actually the end of a jam-packed vacation. We come to the point where we feel that we need some physical rest. But it's not just about physical rest, is it? Sometimes we feel that we need some emotional rest. Sometimes we feel that we may need some spiritual rest. Well, in our gospel reading, Jesus outlines the manner in which we can receive that needed rest for our spirits and for our souls. As an invitation to the disciples and as an invitation to us, Jesus says, "Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest." And so I invite you to pick up your pew Bibles and turn to Mark chapter 6. And I just really, that statement from Jesus, the only line he speaks in our entire gospel reading, I think is a profound message for our time and our culture. Not only do we live in a time of maybe frenetic busyness, where something is always going on, but there's implication that we have maybe cultivated for ourselves or adopted for ourselves, that every minute of the day has to be filled with something. And so we structure our time tightly. And that's not to say that we fill our time with trivialities. Sometimes the things that we do are incredibly important. That was, of course, the case for the disciples. If you look at the beginning of Mark 6, you see that the disciples, they're sent out on a mission. They're sent out by Jesus to preach, to teach, to heal. They see and they do some amazing things, and they come back to Jesus, eager to relay to him everything that has happened. They kind of want to debrief. They want to spend some time with him and talking about everything that has gone on. But the crowd is so thick, and the demands are so continuous, that they don't even have time to sit and eat. I think the point here is that the disciples, they're not able to connect. They're not able to connect with Jesus in that moment. And that so often occurs in our life as well. And I think even in the church. Studies have actually shown that the biggest thing that gets in the way of our private devotions is our public service. That's to say that we get so busy doing the stuff of the church or doing stuff for God that we forget to actually spend time with God. And in all honesty, clergy are horrible at this. We get into the trap where we wear our lack of days off like a badge of honor. Oh, I haven't had a day off in 4 months. Look how good I am. We speak about all the great work that we've done instead of actually speaking about, that inability to follow Jesus to a time away, which is essential to our spiritual life, not just for clergy, but for all of us. It's easy to do. So let me ask you, do you feel that the demands of life get in the way of connecting with Jesus? Do you ever feel that there's just so much stuff going on that if there were more hours in the day, then you could probably spend some time in prayer or spend some time in devotion? I was a kind of a pastoral person, a clergy person for a women's spiritual retreat. I remember talking with a bunch of these young mothers who said that they keep their Bible in the bathroom because that was the only place that they ever got to be alone. That was the only place that they got to have a moment of silence just to be by themselves. Between demands of work, between demands of family, all the practical needs that we need to attend to. Of course, also there's the attempt to carve out some semblance of a social life. Seems that there's just not enough time to do everything. And so often in that case, what's the first thing to get dropped? See, the good news here is that Jesus recognizes this dynamic. Jesus sees the disciples as they move from person to person without time to stop and eat. I think Jesus perceives that inner restlessness that the disciples feel. And so in grace and in love, Jesus says, come with me. Just come with me. When's the last time that you have put down everything and just spent some time with Jesus? It doesn't have to be a long time. The disciples, they get in a boat. They go to the other side of the lake. But that boat must have provided a bit of rest and reconnection that they were looking for. Let's be honest, the dishes can wait for 10 more minutes. The TV or the radio doesn't have to be on as soon as we get home. Maybe try driving around in our car without the radio on. See, because not only do the disciples want to connect with Jesus, but Jesus wants to connect with them. Jesus invites them away so that he and they can be together in an intentional and focused manner. It is in that connection, it's that connection that gives rest. It's that connection that gives peace. It's that intentional and focused connection with Jesus that quiets the anxieties and the worries that we have sometimes rattling around in our life. In your spiritual life, do you feel that you need to reconnect with Jesus? Do you feel that you need a bit of rest, a sense of recreation to your private or devotional life? He invites you, come with me. Invites you to the quiet place, come with me to a solitary place. You know, the disciples, they have to put down everything. They have to leave the crowd. They have to follow Jesus. Come with me to a solitary place, a place which is devoid of distractions and encumbrances, a place reserved for you and he alone. The disciples, they get in the boat and they physically leave the crowd behind.